Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Welcome to our channel, everyone. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time, and this channel, the Ignition Time channel, is about the country, the economy, as well as our money. I'll give you the latest information now about what President Biden, what the White House, what the Democrats are trying to do to pass a major stimulus package and how they're going to raise money for this package. Let's just jump right in. Here's the headline of an article on your screen from the Washington Post. President Biden tells Democrats that a package of up to $1.9 trillion should be the new target of talks. Now, the president did meet with key party members as he's trying to seek an agreement amongst key party members. Remember, the original goal for the Democrats was $3.5 trillion. By the way, this package did not include stimulus checks and unemployment benefits. It included funding for infrastructure, which would lead to new jobs. But because of resistance from the conservative Democrat from West Virginia, Joe Manchin, as you already know, and also because of resistance from Senator Kristen Sinema, the Democrat from Arizona, the Democrats have no choice but to now have a scaled-down package, which will be costing between $1.75 and $1.9 trillion. Now, the original deal, the $3.5 trillion deal, was originally brokered by Senator Bernie Sanders, the independent from Vermont, but that deal is simply not going to happen. Now, the White House is estimating that a package of $1.9 trillion will allow them to accomplish a significant number of priorities as far as they're concerned. This includes some expansion of Medicare to offer new benefits to seniors, the introduction of universal pre-K, and billions of dollars to address climate change, according to several sources that provided this information to the Washington Post. Now, the Democrats are going to have to make some sacrifices, and basically what the Democrats will have to do is cut back on certain things. For example, the expanded child tax credit payments can only be extended by another year. The Democrats wanted to extend it for several years, and also the Democrats are going to have to cut back on many other things. Now, the White House is trying to juggle everyone's priorities. Congressman Pramila Jayapal, the Democrat from Washington, who's the leader of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, said, I quote, all our priorities are there in some way, shape, or form. So it looks like the Democrats are finally starting to come together. And this is a quote from the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, the Democrat from New York. He said, I quote, there was universal agreement in that room that we have come to an agreement. And he said that the entire discussion was, he quoted, spirited. And he said the pace has picked up. The desire to get it done is strong. So it's very clear that the Democrats are trying to get something done. And Pramila Jayapal said that she felt very good that the majority of the programs backed by her wing of the party would be in the final deal. She said this, the president is the inspirer. He's the closer, he's the convincer, and he's the mediator in chief. He really is doing a phenomenal job. Now, it's not very easy, folks, because a lot of people are still unhappy that a significant number of the priorities of the Democrats had to be cut back. But guess what? This is what the Democrats have to deal with because they couldn't get everyone, including Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, to support them. Now, Congressman Richie Torres, who's a Democrat from New York, he actually represents the poorest congressional district in the country as measured by median income. He said that he stressed to the president that the child tax credit should be there. And he pointed to it as, I quote, the greatest triumph of racial equity. He said this, I conveyed to the president that my two highest priorities are the child tax credit and affordable housing. And I quoted the great philosopher Jimmy McMillan, who said the rent is too damn high. We can't build back better if the rent is too damn high. So you can start to see that these Democrats are trying to come together, but folks, there's still a long way to go. And it looks like the Republicans are not at all happy with this. In fact, here's a quote from the Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell. He said this on the floor of the Senate. Every day, American families are feeling real pain because of the reckless and inflationary policies that Democrats have already rammed through. And as if that wasn't enough, folks, here's another headline on your screen, also from the Washington Post. White House considers new taxes on billionaires and stock buybacks as higher corporate tax rate appears to fall out of the economic package. So the original plan for the Democrats was to raise corporate tax rates, but now the Democrats realize that's not going to happen. So they're considering new taxes on billionaires, and they're trying to tax stock buybacks as a way of actually raising money. Now, keep in mind the corporate minimum tax and new tax on billionaires could raise hundreds of billions of dollars from large corporations, as well as taxes on the wealthy. But how this will be structured is something that remains to be seen. Now, the new ideas that the administration is now floating are substantial departure from the $2 trillion tax plan that was originally proposed by Democrats. So it looks like the Democrats are not going to be able to raise the corporate tax rate. And it's very clear, folks, that the Democrats are trying to adjust to find ways to pay for this package. Now, let me know what you think about this entire situation. It's very clear that the Democrats have had a major setback. Remember, they wanted $3.5 trillion, but now no one's talking about that because that's pretty much a dead end and that's not going to happen. But now the president is saying, hey, let's strike a deal at $1.9 trillion. Let's identify our highest priorities and bunch them into a $1.9 trillion bill. Now, I want you to know that the Republicans are going to say, hey, we prevented all the reckless spending. And thanks to Joe Manchin, who was the only voice of reason, we prevented reckless spending. And the Democrats are going to say, hey, look, this is what we did. They're not going to talk about the 3.5 trillion anymore because it's a political setback for them. But they are going to say, hey, look, this is what we got done. And they're going to say, hey, we got it done without the Republicans. So at the end of the day, both parties are going to try and take credit for this situation. But in the end, I think as a fellow American, I want to ask you a simple question. Do you believe that the $1.9 trillion package will make more sense than the $3.5 trillion package? I believe, folks, at the end of the day, the best package is one that gets input from both sides. I believe that if one side tries to ram things through, whether it's a big tax cut like the Republicans tried to ram through, or a big $3.5 trillion bloated infrastructure package like the Democrats tried to ram through, I believe that's bad for the country. I believe the best packages are packages where both sides get to weigh in. And in this case, it's very clear that the conservative Democrat from West Virginia, Joe Manchin, was the one who pretty much changed the game for the Democrats. Now, whether that's good or whether that's bad, that's something that I want you to be the judge of. But I can tell you one thing for sure. At this moment in time, there's going to be only one package, and that package will be approximately $1.9 trillion. And this is based on what President Biden just said. He basically admitted that the Democrats have to curtail their priorities. Now, keep in mind, this is on top of the $1 trillion bipartisan Senate infrastructure plan that has already passed the Senate, and it is going to pass the House. So, in the end, and by the way, if you've been following my channel, I predicted we would see a $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure package, which, by the way, has already passed the Senate, like I said, and an approximately $2 trillion infrastructure bill instead of $3.5 trillion. And it looks like that's what's going to happen. I'll give you the details of the bill, what's included in it, and what it means to you as soon as we have specifics. But in the meantime, please click like, please click subscribe, please enable notifications. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.